MCB.
MCN6.
Showing,
MCN6. MCN6. Don't watch NBC. Watch MCN6, baby. Huh?
Also, Saturday Night Live. You're all over the place. Saturday night, 10 p.m.
Saturday night, 10 p.m.
Yep.
MCN6. You can follow us on Joe Banks for Sheriff. You can.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Banks for Sheriff. Banks, the number 4, Sheriff.
We should let people know today also that if you're, we're going to be talking about a lot of different stuff, but about some of the 4th of July stuff, the shooting. So if they want to be a part of the conversation, man, we'd love to hear from them. So.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Make sure you chime in, inbox us, call us,
and we will be ready in 20 seconds.
Okay. 19, 18, counting down. We coming to a front room, living room near you.
And it's all yours.
And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's another fabulous Let's Talk About It Wednesday. It's 80 degrees outside, kind of muggy, a little cloudy. But, we will take it. We will take it. Hey, check this out. We got so many different things to talk about, that's happening in our country as a whole. And not just in our community, but just in our country as a whole. We got so many different things kind of going on. But, before we get started, we want to make sure you, the audience, is out here getting involved, however that may look for you. Chime in, call in, text in with questions, comments, concerns. We will provide you with phone numbers, emails, and everything else that you need to get in contact with Mr. Joseph Banks, who's running for Hennepin County Sheriff, and or myself. If you want to come down, be a part of the show, please reach out to us and let us know. If you want us to kind of come to you, we will do that as well. We just want to make sure that we are providing you, the community, with the necessary information, education, resources, and whatever else that we may have in that fabulous, wonderful backpack that Joe's always talking about to make sure, as he states, that you make it home to your loved ones. As you know, that this is a grassroots campaign for Joseph Banks, who's running for Hennepin County Sheriff. However, with that being said, he cannot do this alone, right? He has to have and will need, your voice and also your vote. And I'm sure he will share some further information as far as when voting will be. I know that there's already starting for early absentee voting. He'll share some stuff with you regarding that. Excuse me. But again, you have to get involved. This is basically for you, the community. Honestly, win, lose, or draw, but we're going for victory. No, don't get it twisted. We're going for victory, but win, lose, or draw, we will be continuing, this here because we believe that it is very valuable in order for us to continue educating you, the community, and empowering you, the community, and getting you involved again, however that looks. Mr. Joe.
All right. Thanks, guys, for joining us. As always, let's start with some quick house rules. Make sure that you respect everyone's comments. Of course, there is no wrong question. Be respectful. Chime in. You can inbox us, call. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. And we're also on MCN6. So make sure you get your questions in. We'll do our best to answer them. As you know, like Beak said, this show allows me, the candidate for Hennepin County Sheriff, to get to know you, the people, and for you to get to know me. So we're going to talk about things that are happening in the community, things that you have on your mind, and that other folks may have on their mind. So remember, jump on, ask those questions. We'll do our best to answer those questions. Remember, you can reach me at banksforsheriff.com. That's BANKS, the number 4, sheriff.com. Or joelawman@hotmail.com. That's JOELAWMAN @hotmail.com. or you can reach me at 763-221-4724. And as Beach says, we're here every Wednesday from 4 to 5, bringing that information to you. So if you have something that you want to get the people to know, or you got a program or organization that you want to share with the community, come on our show, get in touch with us. We'll bring you on, get you that exposure, get you in communication with the community. As always, we start in at the middle of our show with the backpack.
Backpack. Gotta have it.
That backpack consists of making sure you have your driver's license and insurance with you before you enter that vehicle. Place it above the visor so it's easily accessible. This way, if you're stopped by law enforcement, it won't be confused as a weapon. And also make sure you stay calm. Keep your hands at the scene. Allow the officer to go to his spiel. And as always, get home to your loved one. Same thing when walking down the street. Make sure you got your ID or driver's license with you in that back pocket. Make sure it's easy accessible. Stay calm. Keep your hands where they can be seen. Allow the officer to go to his spiel. And as always, get home to your loved ones. We got a really big show for you, so we're going to go ahead and kick some things off with Beats.
All right. Well, listen, again, listening and viewing audience, this is truly about you and for you. We cannot, stress that enough, even though that this is a grassroots campaign, for Joe as he's running for Hennepin County Sheriff's. And yes, volunteers and donations is always welcome. However, again, you getting involved, being a part of, your community and what's kind of going on in your community, we cannot stress that enough as far as how important that is. We want, need, desire, and demand, changes within our community. And that starts with you, whether it's going to be Joseph Banks, getting elected into Hennepin County Sheriff, or whether we're writing some type of bills into law, or whether we just want to see changes, within our community at more of a local level, if you will. It all starts with you. The sheriff doesn't report to the chief of police. He doesn't report to the mayor. He reports to you, the people. And that's why it is so important, for you to do your homework, and get the opportunity to know Mr. Banks and what he stands for. And I guarantee you that you will be you'll be surprised, you will be impressed, you will even be intrigued on how you will be able to just kind of, get on his bus, so to speak, and be able to ride with him, because I've done a lot of things with Joel, over the course of years, and I'm not being biased, if you will, just because he's a good friend of mine. Believe me, if I did not think, feel, and believe that he was a good fit for this position, I would not be sitting here to this man's right, just being proud of what he has accomplished up to this point. There's so much more that we need to do, so much more that we can do, so much more that we will do. But when we do that, we need to do that with you, the community. I can kind of go on and on and on about that. However, we have so much stuff, that we need to kind of talk about that has been occurring within our community and, again, across the country. As we know, it was just 4th of July weekend. There's a lot of states, a lot of cities, a lot of communities who had a lot of fabulous, outstanding community events, parades and concerts and just whatever, fireworks and things of that nature that went off, without a hitch. And we are so glad and proud that those individuals were able to enjoy, those situations that they were able to enjoy wherever they were at. Unfortunately, there were also some cities and some communities that was riddled with, chaos, and incidences that were not as appealing, where situations or events had to be canceled, fireworks had to be canceled, things of that nature. And one of those situations, or a couple of those situations, if you will, was right here in our own backyard in the city of Minneapolis. And again, before I go any further, I want to stress that we are not here to pick on Minneapolis. We are not here to point fingers at any one particular individual or any one particular entity, because this is not just a city of Minneapolis problem. This is not just a city of Minneapolis Police Department's problem. This is a problem. This is a situation that's occurring throughout our country that just has to stop. And in order for us to prevent some of this and stop some of this, you, the community, has to get involved. You have to stand up. You cannot continue to be afraid or shy to be that positive and productive community member. I know some folks, Joe, will say that, well, if you're calling the police, you're snitching. And again, I don't believe that snitching. A snitch is someone that has gotten involved in something, and now you're trying to tell something to the police or law enforcement to save your own bacon. Someone that is a positive, productive community member that works every day, et cetera, and they're seeing something happening in their community, and they don't like it, they want to get rid of it. These are positive, productive community members that just want a safe community.
Yeah, and it's important that, if you see something, say something, get involved. Definitely. This incident that happened down in Minneapolis was a, very, very dangerous incident. In fact, it put so many people at risk. We want law enforcement to be out there doing their jobs, and there were a couple of officers that even got some fireworks shot at them. So it's important that we first take care of our own personal behavior. Right, make sure that we're policing ourselves before the police are policing us, guys. Let's make sure that we're responsible with fireworks. Know where your kids are at night. Know what's going on with them. Be accountable. This is all about being a really good citizen. That's what we're trying to do: create a safe and secure environment where the people of Hennepin County are safe. And so we have to work together to make sure that that's what we're doing. Our leadership can only do so much, but we as the citizens have to step up for some self-accountability and create a safe environment for us to raise our children in, to enjoy our holidays and things like that. And so we have to do this together. This is a colorblind situation. We all share the same camaraderie. We all want the same thing. We want peace and safeness and a place to raise our children. So that's what we have to work hard toward. So let's make sure that we're doing that. We had a video that you guys are peeking at, as what happened on the 4th of July. And, these are the type of things that take away from what the 4th of July is really meant for. And so it's important that we work to make sure something like this doesn't happen again. It puts too many people at risk in our community.
Absolutely. And as you stated, we can kind of show this video again and again and again. And I'm sure that, most individuals have seen this on some platform of social media and or on the news, et cetera, et cetera. However, I also want to point out that this is a collaborative effort. We cannot stress this enough. This is not just one particular entity, that has to step up and do something. It's all of us. I know that one of the pieces that I've seen in this video footage, maybe not this particular video footage, but a particular video footage is where there's like 8 or 9 plus, different police cars that had arrived. Mm-hmm. And they came up, really fast and jumping out their cars. And, some of them had long rifles kind of strapped around them. And, some of them had their guns out and things of that nature. And even though that they had gotten numerous calls, and it took, law enforcement quite some time, from my understanding, to respond, based off of whatever factors that was leading them to have such a delayed response. I don't know. However, with that being said, the goal was to get them to stop doing what they were doing, right?
Right.
And so was it having 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus police cars pulling up at a speed that they did and jumping out the way that they did, with guns and stuff out, hands and stuff on your gun, was that the best way to handle that situation? Because again, the primary goal is to get them to stop doing what they're doing. So how could they have done this a little bit better? You talked earlier, and previously in numerous, shows, that is this a teachable moment or is this an arrestable moment, right? 9 out of 10 times, in situation like this here, no one's going to get arrested, right? I mean, there's always a small chance that somebody's going to go to jail for one thing or another. However, when these young people whom are out here in the community that are making bad choices, like you said, they're not bad young people. They're not bad kids. They're just making bad choices, right? And so they're making a bad choice, but now you roll up just as hot and excited, as they are. You're also, as an adult, as a professional, making bad choices. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that it would have been better to have maybe even half those number of squad cars, and instead of them jumping out on people, the way that they did, is to use that loudspeaker, in order to try and educate these people by stating, young people, please stop. This is not safe. This can kind of harm someone. Whatever it is, that you want to state and to try to educate, as this being a teachable moment, because when they jump out and now all of a sudden folks start running, they've just committed a crime because now you're fleeing from police. So now that doesn't do nothing but give the police the PC in order to go after you. And then that doesn't do nothing but elevate a situation.
It did. I mean, in so many ways, there's kind of a two-pronger there. You have the police who's getting the calls, and I don't know if the call came out as shots fired or if it came out as fireworks being fired. I'm not sure because I haven't heard the dispatch recording. But even when you respond to an environment and you see folks shooting fireworks, at some point the intention is not necessarily to kill somebody, but they're doing something that they think is funny and fun and it's inappropriate. But you don't need to necessarily respond with firepower. Again, like you said, this is a situation where we could have utilized that speaker, got on their speaker to let folks know, hey, this is unacceptable behavior. We know that it's a holiday. We're going to have a lot of people downtown. We should have beefed up patrol in the community anyways to make sure that the proactive policing presence would have deterred, people from wanting to do that. And what I mean by that is just making sure that we got a few more squads coming and going on those blocks so that when they think about that, they're like, I ain't going to do it. The police is right there. And so, and you want to have some cops out walking around. You just need to have some cops out walking around, mingling with the people, having a conversation. It's always easier to say, hey, come here, than it is to get out with a squad car in the middle of the street. Hopefully you lock the squad car because we're putting firearms in the possibility of being acquired by folks who want to run inside the squad car. It's just a lot of things.
So many other different things can happen.
Yeah, a lot of things going on there. Most importantly, thank God nobody was seriously hurt. But, when you look at it, it does look kind of bad because it looks like they're leveling off toward people and somebody could have been hit in the face or eye and been seriously injured. So that's something we definitely want to deter people. We want you to enjoy your holiday, but we do want people to be safe. And it doesn't look like there was a lot of parental advising going on in that situation. And so we tied up some squads for what we knew at some point was for sure fireworks. And it looked like, a lot of chaos. And I'm sure the city said, well, we got to do more. The honest to God truth is we got to plan better. This should have been planned better from day one. So it's all in the planning. It's all in the planning. We know Minneapolis is short-staffed, but we got to plan better. Well, and just remember that we don't have to use only Minneapolis cops in hot areas, right? So we can use collaborative efforts with different agencies.
Absolutely.
Right? And we can have some of those cops come out and help out when we think there's going to be an issue. So that's called a mutual aid agreement.
And in addition to, other agencies, Sheriff's Department, State Patrol, and whomever else that, U of M or even Transit, whomever, who could have been there. But I would also have liked to see, some of these nonprofit entities, that are out there doing various community work, having boots on the ground, Mad Dads, Mother's Love, and just some of these other entities to be out there, around these times, that are truly needed in these type of joint efforts. So then, therefore, we can, like you said, just prevent and deter, from this stuff happening, to begin.
Yeah, it always works better in layers, right? You got it in layers: the community, then security, then maybe the interrupters that they call them. I think they call them interrupters. Have the interrupters out there. Then that level of law enforcement, even greater level of law enforcement. So it's all collaborative effort with everybody working together to keep things safe. But it's definitely something that we have to get better at moving forward.
Absolutely. Well, again, there is just a ton of other things, unfortunately, that has happened. We had that young man that was 17, 18 years old who unfortunately lost his life, to fireworks in Brooklyn Park. He was, dealing with some type of unknown firework that was very, very powerful. I believe that firework is not even legally to be sold or whatnot in Minnesota. However, we know that it's extremely easy to, go across the border and pick up some stuff and kind of come on back. And unfortunately, this young man kind of lost his life. So, we do want to give the condolences to, his friends and family. That is just extremely tragic. I just really quickly wanted to kind of touch on, and I know that it might seem like I'm jumping all over the place here today, but there's just so many different things that have happened. And there was a mother who took her 3 kids, and killed her 3 kids and herself after she had found that the husband had committed suicide.
Oh, in St. Paul.
Yes. And a lot of folks would think, feel, and believe that that's just a horrible mother. How can a mother do this? And so on and so forth. And I had the opportunity. I'm going to try and paraphrase this a little bit, because I'm not, Thai, I'm not Hmong, so for me to try to explain the situation to you, the viewing and listening audience, would be quite difficult. However, because initially I thought, man, why would she do something like that? That's just kind of crazy. But once it was kind of explained to me, some of the cultural, piece behind that, and how the father was, I think was Hmong and she was Thai, and there's kind of this whole kind of like dark skin versus light skin and that culture, and there's just a lot of other different things that was kind of tied into that it was told to me that they believe that even though that he killed himself, that the community, that culture would have blamed her and kind of shamed her for that incident. So then therefore they believe that she was in a mindset of that she felt that she didn't have no other alternative, to do but what it is that she did, and that being such a tragic incident. Again, I'm sure that there's still just a lot of friends and family, that are hurting, behind that situation. And again, our condolences, to those family members, those friends, because I'm sure they're going to be missing their nieces and nephews and sisters and brothers and things of that nature.
That is. It was tragic to see that unfold as it did unfold. It started out in, I believe it was Maplewood, initially where the folks lived at, and in the search over in St. Paul. And thanks to the Ramsey County diving team, who were able to facilitate the recovery of those folks and return them back to their loved ones. They have children, and so they were traumatized as officers, having to go out there and recover those young kids and mom. And so that's hard on them, and so we hope that the officers are getting the proper, treatment and counseling that they need to deal with this, because it affects the officers, the community, and the families all at the same time. So that's something that folks don't understand, that those cops are also traumatized by what they had to do, and we're still able to get things done. So kudos to Ramsey County Sheriff Department for getting that done, and Bob Fletcher and those guys for managing that situation. You know, it's always tragic when young people die like that. You know, you really feel for the kids, because you want them to have the ability to decide what happens to them and they don't get a vote.
Absolutely.
In that. So that's just really tragic. You know, but you move on to the fact that we had the shooting over in Chicago, or Illinois, should I say, and Highland Park, and mass shooting there on the 4th of July. A gentleman who shot from the rooftop down into the crowd who was waiting at the parade. Sound like 7 people deceased and 30 more injured from gunfire, and it sounds like he was finally arrested not too far from where the shooting occurred. And they did show some footage of him leaving the parade area dressed in women's clothing and dressed as a disguise, but they were able to get him into custody. But it's just, it's things like that that just, horrify folks. We had a lot of mass incidents occurring on the 4th of July. It said something like 220 people shot over the 4th of July weekend or day. And, so the country in itself is hurting. And so, we want to keep it where people are celebrating happiness and people feel safe, but we have to pay attention to what's going on around us. I did hear that there was one mass shooting that was supposed to occur in one of the cities. I'm not sure when it was again, but apparently a bystander overheard 2 guys planning on doing some things, made a call to the police, and they were able to successfully arrest the 2 gentlemen and recover quite a few firearms. So kudos to those,
community members.
Yeah, who were able to see something and say something.
Absolutely.
And that was probably the greatest phone call they could have made.
And that's how community members get involved. Again, see something, say something. Don't be scared. Don't be shy. That number 220 or more than 220 people being shot and or killed over the 4th of July holiday. That's just an astonishing number, but that number could have been even higher if she wouldn't have overheard that conversation and made that phone call.
Exactly.
So again, kudos to that community member who decided to say something, those officers, who acted on that and was able to take those guys into custody. But, speaking a little bit further, or kind of digging a little bit further, not only into the shooting that just recently happened in Illinois, right? We've had I just kind of a countless, if you will, or unknown number of young white males, ranging between like 17 and 21-ish, that have been carrying out some pretty heinous domestic attacks, on various communities. Now, people can argue that, there's this, targeting, more brown and black folks, and in some cases, there's some data that shows that. However, there's also other nationalities and ethnic groups that have been affected by this stuff as well. I've even seen a story or two where a parent has kind of come out and said, I don't know how my child got like this. He wasn't raised like this, things of that nature. I've had the opportunity, over, the last several months, but primarily in the last few days, to talk to individuals, to kind of get their views and opinions and outlook on exactly what do they think, feel, and believe that's going on here? Is this something where it's more like poor parenting, mental health issues, or is this something more bigger than what we may think, feel, and believe? And is the our U.S. government, if you will, are they sharing with us? Are they educating and informing us the way that they should in regards to this? Is this more of some larger white supremacy thing that's kind of going on here? And again, I got a ton of different type of feedback, depending on, who you're talking to. I know males was looking at it one way, females kind of had a little bit of a different opinion because they're mothers. I've even talked to some Caucasian individuals and, of course, a host of, people of color as well. And I even had an opportunity, to talk to a law enforcement officer in another state. And I would have to say that I was, pretty appalled, by his response, as if, he just didn't really care. He just didn't really have an opinion one way or the other. He's just on his way out, and that's all he's trying to do is trying to get out and be on his merry way. But his responses was just horrible. So I want to get to you in just a minute here because we got a question that just kind of came in. But think about this. What is your view and opinion? Not only as an African American male, that has grown up in some pretty significant areas, in life. Whether it was here in Minnesota and or Illinois. But also as a police officer, also as a chief, former chief, and then also someone that's kind of running for Hennepin County Sheriff. What do you think is the cause and effects, of all of this? Again, is this something that's kind of more a parenting issue and mental health issue and, things of that nature? Or is this something a little bit more bigger than that there? But before we get to that, we have a question that kind of came in, and it says, can the sheriff do anything proactively to deal with gun violence or white nationalism for that matter? And that might even segue right into that question that I asked. So thank you, caller or viewer, for asking that question.
When you look at stuff like that, it still comes back to education, because, people aren't born with hatred. They're taught it. And it does almost look like we're sliding backwards at 1,000 miles an hour. Yet so much come to pass in this last few weeks, the issue with Roe versus Wade, the overturning of certain gun laws, and rights and stuff like that. And so, it's educating folks on how to rid themselves of hatred, how to discern clear thinking from clouded thinking, because some people still have an issue of color barriers, and that's being passed on, and they're being taught to hate and recruited to go out and do these heinous acts. And I don't know if our government is passing on that intel to local law enforcement to be able to get in front of that, if the intel is being gotten so late that they can't get it out in time. But it is unique that after each incident, they come back and they say, well, there were flags because he posted this or he said that. You know what I'm saying? So we have to put something better in place to look at inflammatory social media issues that could be flagged and followed up on. We do know that the federal law enforcement agencies are already monitoring social media anyways, but we need to be making sure that information is getting to local law enforcement. And again, all you can do is educate people on what areas are hotspots of violence, what area are bigoted areas that they should be aware of, and just kind of keep talking to people on what to look out for and how to report that information.
So, I mean, I too have my own views and opinion, on this here, and I think that, you're taking these 17 to 21-year-old, young men, that go out and commit these heinous acts, but I have a hard time believing that these young men are smart enough, intelligent enough to go out and be able to carry out these very particular and meticulous acts of violence. And then, as they're being taken into custody, you're not seeing any real emotion, from them. It seems like they are just, like you said, that they're being trained, a certain way. They're being told to, to just kind of turn yourself in, and kind of, or just give up and not get into any type of shootout or whatever the case may be. And so then therefore there's this continual thing of,
well, it's definitely something that they're thinking about, and it's almost like they're looking for publicity, right? Mm-hmm. In the case of Highland, the gentleman fired the shots. He was smart enough to leave the rifle because, of course, somebody running with a rifle would have drawn major attention immediately. But to have the wherewithal to put on an entire outfit, dress as a woman, enter the crowd, start running with the crowd after firing that shot, that was something that was thought out and pre-planned.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so, I had some feedback from some folks who were frustrated because they said, well, he purchased a gun legitimately. But as a gun sailor, I'm not a gun dealer or a gun seller, but I mean, when people come in, I mean, there's no psychiatrist at the counter, right? So we don't get to screen beyond identification and what the state or federal government gives back as thumbs up or down on an individual.
Right.
And I think people misunderstand when they say, well, man, how did he get that gun? Because at his age, he hasn't gotten a criminal history just yet. He walks in with proper identification and the money, right? And they run him like everybody else through the ATF database. If the ATF doesn't say there's a hold for a couple of days to check him out a little bit more, the guy gets the gun, walks out the door. So, I mean, this is the thing that we have to understand. Yep, he did purchase the weapon legitimately, but it's very hard to gauge somebody's intentions after the fact.
Absolutely. Well, really quick, I want to kind of continue this, but I know that we're just a little bit over, halfway because obviously, these topics are so hot, that you can kind of, dive into them. And the next thing it's 2 hours later, that we're trying to fit into an hour show. You know what I'm saying? So again, we want you, the listening and viewing audience, to chime in, call in, text in. Follow us on NBC6. You can go to Banks for Sheriff. What else that can they? YouTube,
Facebook, and MCN6.
Absolutely. Roku. Right. Catch us on Roku. But there's just a host of ways that you can kind of, get in contact with us. Again, my name's Antoine Beek Sr., and I am the co-host of Let's Talk About It Wednesday. And if you want to contact me, I am at 612-702-9849. Again, 612-702-9849. And I will be more than happy to provide you with any information, resources, whatever the case may be, put you in contact with Joseph Banks, who's running for Hennepin County Sheriff. Whatever that may be. If you want to come down and be part of the show, just let us know. If you want us to kind of come to you and be in your backyard, be in your living room, in your front room as we do the show, please let us know, because we will, pick up shop and come right on over there. With that being said, Joe, again, we're a little bit more over halfway, and I'm going to go ahead and let you take care of some housekeeping stuff.
All right, I'm going to hit you with that backpack. That backpack consists of making sure you got your driver's license and insurance with you before you enter that vehicle. Place it above the visor so it's easily accessible. Make sure if you stop by law enforcement, remain calm. Let them go through their spiel. And as always, get home to your loved ones. Same thing, you're walking down the street. Make sure your ID or driver's license is easily accessible. Remember to stay calm. Keep your hands where they can be seen. Let the officer go through his spiel, and as always, always get home to your loved ones. So that's an important fact, guys. You know, I know a lot of folks out there feel like they need to get their point out to law enforcement. Just remember that the goal of the day in encounter law enforcement is to make sure that you leave that encounter on both your feet, standing up, safe, and on your way home to your family members. So let's not teach our kids to challenge the law enforcement. Let them go through their spiel. If there's something wrong, we can definitely deal with that, guys. But we want to deal with it while that person who had the encounter is still alive and is home safe with their family members. So there is a follow-up for you to get in touch with law enforcement, the county attorney, city attorney to file a formal complaint. So make sure that you're surviving to be able to do so, all right? And that is the most important part. So with that being said, I guess I wanted to talk just a tiny bit because I got quite a few calls and questions about the whole Roe versus Wade thing.
No. Yeah.
First off, let me just make sure everybody understands that Minnesota has laws in place to continue to protect women's rights to choose when it comes to their body. There is a two-pronger, if you would. There is that morality piece in some situations where people of religious faith believe that, it's the sanctity of life and they intend to save life and they have that right to have that opinion. And then there is the Constitution that guarantees us all equalness under the law, under the Constitution, which will give women the right to decide what happens to their body. So it is a perfect match that does fuel concerns on both sides. For women, I'm sure they believe and understand for sure that that was a major setback and a blow to their freedom and their rights. I personally believe that people should have the ability to choose what happens with their bodies. I know there's a lot of circumstances that would, constitute concern for folks, but I think we have to fall back on the intention of what the Roe versus Wade actually was, which was not only to empower women in their rights, but to make sure that we weren't putting women in a situation where they felt they had to go to back alleys and things of that nature to have these unsanctioned procedures done that put them and their children at risk. And so we want to make sure that, we're standing with our women in equal rights to be able to choose what happens to them and their body. And so that is my opinion. It is not the opinion of MCN6. It's not Beak's opinion. And it's not the opinion of Shannon.
I stand beside you, bro. I stand with you.
But, that's where I stand. Women have been through so much in terms of our history. They've endured enough. They fought for equality. And I have nothing but respect for those moms who have hung in there through it all, and those folks who aren't moms who have stood in there through it all, and survived it. And so,
amen.
Hopefully that again the people will rise up, because again the voice and power is with the people. The people will rise up, come together, and get things fixed, so that the women no longer have to feel that they have to leave their states in some cases to protect a right that was supposedly guaranteed to them under the Constitution of the United States of America.
Excuse me. And that just segues me right into, the situation that happened in Ohio. I don't know if you're familiar with that one, where there was a 10-year-old girl that was raped, and she got pregnant. And I believe, if I remember the article correctly that I read, that somehow this ended up in court, and that the judge himself had made some type of statement that would allude to him kind of encouraging the family, this young child, to keep this baby. And she's nothing but a baby herself, by asking the question, did she or has she thought of any names yet? Now, I found that to be just so far outlandish, that he, as a sitting judge, then I would assume at this point in time, because I don't know if he has daughters of his own or possibly even granddaughters, how he would feel if this was his child that this has happened to, and for him to make a statement even remotely close to something as such, I was just appalled by that overall. But it was stating that this 10-year-old girl, child, was denied an abortion in Ohio, and that the parents or the family was having to seek other options, outside the state of Ohio. I don't know.
So it's almost as if she was being victimized all over again.
Absolutely. I can't even understand or begin to imagine what was going through, that young child's head when she was being raped in the first place, by whomever that suspect was. I don't even know if there's a person that's been arrested for that crime yet or not, and then for the family to find out that this happened, in addition to find out at some later date and time, I'm sure, because it takes some time for you to find out that you are actually pregnant, again, I mean, even for this young child to even to be bearing, menstruals, at such a young age, it's crazy. But things are happening. But again, besides all that, this judge or the system down there that has denied this 10-year-old child, I just thought that was pretty barbaric.
Yeah, I mean, it's terrible. We stand with the women of America. We understand your struggle. And like I said, it's my hope that their rights will be restored. The faith in the Constitution will be replenished. It is devastating because it does beg one to wonder, what else are we going to go back and change? What's next?
Yeah, absolutely.
Based on the current leadership or the current folks who are at the Supreme Court level. And I think for me, what was unique is I thought to myself, wow, don't we have two Supreme Court justices that are female?
Right.
And so I thought, what could have happened that put them in a position and went, yeah, I want to give away my rights as a woman here. So, and uniquely enough, it is those rights that afforded them the opportunity to be able to be presiding justices in the United States Supreme Court. So, it's just unique to me that the language for sure was always left vaguely for interpretation. But to go in there and say, wait a minute, it doesn't have standing in this day and age, would be the equivalent of us saying, yeah, I know America had democracy, but tomorrow we're going back to a dictatorship.
Right, absolutely.
And have the people go, really? Okay. You know what I mean?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I mean, to me, that's what it was. And I just think that there's no way, man. I mean, there's no way that the women of today are going to let this stand. I know they're going to rise up and do whatever they feel they need to do. I just want women to understand that pen is mightier than the sword. We hear your voices, but let's get the right people in the room. Let's get the proper legislation put together, and let's go back there and get back your rights.
Absolutely. Well, here's the thing, man, is that, we're kind of somewhat coming down to the end of another fabulous show. And it's one of those things where, we've talked about two very important pieces tonight. The mass shootings, and just kind of the overwhelming, what is that? Oh, we'll get to that question in just a second here. But just the overwhelming chaos and just uncertainty that's kind of happening in communities kind of throughout the country. We've talked about the impact and the cause and just basically kind of all of the entities that need to be involved in making our country a safer place, right? I mean we also talked about the Roe versus Wade, and how impactful that is to not only our women, because there's a lot of men out here that stand alongside of them, and hopefully that we were able to kind of get that situation corrected, because it's, again, when situations happen like this here with that 10-year-old child, it should be a no-brainer. It should be a no-brainer, and I'm just not understanding that. And we're at that stage where do we kind of jump into something else? Do we have enough time? That type of situation, right? Two things before we leave here today. One, I want to plea with our government, if you will, that there was a tragic mistake that had occurred with our WNBA basketball player. And please forgive me because I've forgotten her name, but everyone knows exactly who I'm talking about, as she had entered into Russia with a 0.07 amount of cannabis or THC, things of that
inhaler
nature.
or something of that nature.
Yes. And this young lady has been incarcerated for some time now. And there was some situation to where she was supposed to have gotten the chance to talk to her spouse via phone or whatever it is that they had set up. And all of a sudden there was some type of connection issue to where she did not get an opportunity to speak to her spouse on their anniversary. And there's a whole bunch of different circumstances and uncertainty, surrounding that particular incident. I hope that and pray that this young lady is able to return to the U.S. unharmed soon. And with that being said, I strongly encourage and plea with the WNBA to ensure that our athletes, male and or female, no matter what sport it is that they're in, if they're going to be providing a service or whatever it is to, for us, the American people, that they should be well taken care of. So then, therefore, they don't have to worry about or be concerned about going over to some other country, in order for them to make a living. Because our male basketball players get paid handsomely, and our female basketball players, they need to be paid as equally, because they have a large fan base and people who appreciate their play and so on and so forth. Brittany Griner. Yes, thank you. So again, I don't want to go into that too much more. I just want to say that we are with the family of Brittany Griner, and we hope that she is able to return to the U.S. soon, safely, without any other forms of retribution or being victimized again, through the United States, because she's going to have to follow various whatever that may be set by some other country, and there's a whole bunch of political and all this other type of stuff that's involved in that as well.
Yeah, and unlike America, there is no presumption of innocence in Russia. So there is a really great chance that she could be found guilty. And so if America's not going to step up and do something, there is a great chance that this young lady could be in prison in Russia for some serious time, according to their laws. So we don't negotiate with terrorists as a rule for the United States of America. But as a former Marine and Army National Guard member, we don't leave people behind either.
Absolutely.
And so we can't leave this young lady behind. I don't know what is the protocol, but she, among a few other American citizens that are housed in Russia, it's time that United States put up or shut up.
Absolutely.
We can't.
Amen.
Ukraine is taking some serious losses now. Russia has almost taken complete control of the entire country of Ukraine, and we can't keep pacifying with guns and weapons on the side. At some point, we're going to have to go ahead and say no more. Vladimir Putin, unfortunately, is in a situation where he has the upper hand, and he's using it.
Absolutely.
He's
Yes,
using
he
it.
is.
We're at a situation where we do our best for diplomatic,
Diplomacy.
diplomacy and protocol,
Mm-hmm.
but we're at that point now where it hasn't worked, and letting him take over Ukraine puts the European countries in a very terrible position. It also gives Russia control of the ports in the Black Sea, which is my belief what this is really all about, his ability to control import and exports coming through that waterway. And once he gets that, he has the monopoly to decide how and what comes through there on his way to Europe.
Absolutely.
And so that's what's happening. America's got to stand up, and we don't want to see our kids in harm's way of battling if we don't have to. But if, in my mind, when we say we're an ally, when we say we have your back, we gotta have my back. I don't want you to tell me you got my back, and then when it really happens, you're sending me little letters about what I could do. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to actually show up and help, or are you going to keep sending me text messages about how sunny it is outside of where you are?
Go back to the old saying that you were talking about. If I got a dang leak in the boat, I need a patch right now.
Yeah.
I don't need you to tell me about when we get back to port how we're going to plug this up. We need to fix this right now in order to get back to port.
Yeah. So my prayers go out to the families of Ukraine, because they're just really under the gun now. A lot of them have fled the country into Poland and things of that nature. And it's just, having to leave your home and everything behind in a matter of minutes and go and start life somewhere else is so unfair to these people. And I just think that the world can't forget that while they're sleeping, while they're resting and enjoying holidays, that there's still people in harm's way.
Absolutely. Well, man, we're actually at the end of another fabulous show. Again, I want to thank our viewing and listening audience. We had some pretty good comments and some questions that came in. So thank you for that. Again, this is a grassroots campaign for Joseph Banks as he is running for Hennepin County Sheriff. Again, donations, participation, it's all welcome. Your voice, your vote, matters. It counts. Trust me when I say that. We can go on and on and on. I'm again, my name's Antoine Beeks. I am the co-host of Let's Talk About It. My number is 612-702-9849. Again, 612-702-9849. I'm not even going to get into some of the other things that I typically kind of end with at the end of a show, because there's one thing before you end the show. I want to give you the opportunity for you to kind of tell the people, give them a small soundbite, if you will, of what it means not only to run for Hennepin County Sheriff, because we know right now that running for such a position, in a county that's at ground zero is remarkable in its own right for you to even want to do that. So again, kudos for you for that. But however, what does that look like as far as the people involvement, and how you want to unite not only the police and the community, but unite other entities, to ensure that our communities are safe, bro.
Like you said, my name's Joe Banks and I'm running for Hennepin County Sheriff, but I'm running because I care about the people. I am right here in the trenches with the people every day. The fact that I'm running for sheriff, it's the next step in the evolution of what I'm trying to achieve here. People having a voice, right? When you're out here and you're talking to the community members and the family members who are, some cases, crying because they've lost loved ones, they've lost housing, they suffer from drug addiction, they've been vandalized, they've been accosted, and when you talk about how things used to be and where we're trying to get back to make things better, that is why I'm running, because the everyday Joe should be able to live in a safe and secure environment, free from the violence that we're experiencing every day. So a vote for me definitely means you have a voice in what's happening, a voice that's going to help to empower the community through both education and collaboration to identify and solve problems in your community every day, right? My door will be open every day. I will continue to be out in the community. I will continue to be able to hear what you have to say firsthand, and we're going to work together to fix these changes that need to be in place every day, one day at a time, until we get where we need to be.
Well, with that being said, man, I just want to say, before you close this out, I want to say thank you, and thank you again, not only from me, but also from the viewing and listening audience, because I truly believe wholeheartedly that once you get elected into that position, that there will be those that will support you even more so, because sometimes those is just like, well, we got to wait and see how Joe, and so on and so forth. But once you get in and they see the true value of your humanity and how you truly care for the community, I think that's when you're going to start seeing even more so those people kind of standing behind you. With that said, bro, we are at the end. I know that I've kind of went over a little bit, but that's okay. That's okay. But go ahead and kind of close it out, bro.
All right, guys. I want to say thank you guys for joining us. As usual, it was another great show. We're here every week from 4 to 5. Make sure you join us, chime in, send in your questions, and have a great time. Remember, you can get in contact with us. We'll come out to where you are, or you can come to where we are, whichever way. I am Joseph Banks, and I'm running for Hennepin County Sheriff. I need your vote because I'm looking to serve you, the people, to make sure life is better for you tomorrow and moving forward. Okay. With that being said, you can reach me at banksforsheriff.com. That's BANKS, the number 4, sheriff.com. banksforsheriff.com. Go to my webpage, check us out, find out information about us. You can donate, get involved, all that good stuff right there on the page. If you can't get me there, you can always call me at 763-221-4724. That's 763-221-4724. And last but not least, you can reach me at joelawman@hotmail.com. That's JOELAWMAN@hotmail.com. All righty, guys. So it's been a great show, and I'm going to hit you with that backpack. Remember, that backpack consists of making sure that you got your driver's license and insurance with you before you get in that vehicle. Place it above the visor so it's easily accessible and it won't be confused if stopped by law enforcement for a weapon. Also, make sure that you listen to what the officers have to say. Let them go through a spiel. Stay calm, and as always, get home to your loved ones. Same thing if you're walking down the street. Make sure you got your ID, your driver's license where it's easily accessible. Keep your hands where they can be seen. Stay calm, stay calm, stay calm. Let the officer go through his spiel. And as always, make it home to your loved ones.
Absolutely.
So, with that being said, it's been a great show. Thank you, Beeks, for coming back out today. Join us, my brother, as always.
Yes,
I'm
sir,
Joe Banks.
Sir. And I'm Antoine Beeks.
And we just talked about it.
Talked about it. Peace.